Ancient Vedic sages calculated something that would shatter modern finance. Literal money accounts for exactly 1/8 of true prosperity, which means right now you could be richer or far poorer than your bank account suggests. Here's what they discovered.
In modern hustle culture, wealth is universally quantified by a single, cold metric: your net worth. We track bank balances and stock portfolios with obsessive precision. But the ancient Vedic sages recognized this relentless focus on liquid cash as a fatal psychological trap.
They understood a terrifying, fundamental truth about the human condition. If you sacrifice your physical health, your peace of mind, or your deepest relationships just to accumulate money, you are not actually building wealth at all. You are simply liquidating one invaluable asset class to fund another. In the grand, cosmic ledger of life, you are operating at a net zero balance. You are trading your very life force for metal and paper.
By worshiping wealth solely as money, individuals violate the ancient law of alignment. So if literal cash is only 12.5% of true abundance, what exactly makes up the rest of the vault?
To understand this profound mathematical shift, we must look at the very name of the Hindu goddess of wealth. The most pervasive misconception is that she is merely a cosmic ATM for material gain.
The name Lakshmi does not mean cash, currency, or gold. It derives from the ancient Sanskrit root laksha, which translates directly and beautifully to aim or goal. True wealth is the actualization of your life's ultimate purpose. It is a dynamic, flowing energy, not just a static pile of gold hoarded in a dark room out of deep-seated insecurity and fear.
But what happens when you acquire the gold without the purpose? When the vault fills up overnight, but the soul remains entirely empty? The psychological results are absolutely terrifying. In the late 1990s, modern behavioral economists began to notice a dark, recurring pattern among the newly rich. A sudden financial windfall rarely brought peace. Instead, it triggered profound, devastating emotional collapse. Psychologists Stephen Goldbart and Joan DeFuria coined a clinical term for this trauma: sudden wealth syndrome. It describes the intense identity crises, paralyzing guilt, and deeply destructive financial behaviors that drain sudden fortunes. A massive influx of unearned money doesn't cure your anxiety or fix your life. It acts as a magnifying glass for your deepest insecurities, leading to reckless decisions that inevitably burn the windfall to the ground. But wealth destruction isn't just a personal, isolated tragedy. It is a highly contagious disease, and it spreads rapidly to anyone standing too close to the blast radius of new money. A chilling 2018 study published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia revealed a shocking statistic about the close neighbors of lottery winners. The data was impossible to ignore.
Living right next door to a sudden lottery winner actually increases your own chances of going completely bankrupt. The financial ruin spreads like a virus through the entire neighborhood.
Driven by what behavioral economists call conspicuous consumption, these neighbors accumulate massive, unsustainable debt. They buy highly visible luxury assets simply to keep up with the illusion of sudden wealth next door. Thousands of years before these modern economic studies were published in prestigious journals, Hindu sages had already diagnosed this exact behavioral phenomenon with perfect, chilling precision. They gave goddess Lakshmi a very specific, warning title: Chanchala. It means the restless one, the fickle one, the dynamic energy that absolutely refuses to sit still in one place. The ancients knew that money naturally wants to escape its owner. If it is unanchored by deep psychological maturity, it vanishes like smoke. So how do you force it to stay? The answer lies in a highly diversified portfolio of prosperity, drafted 3,000 years before Wall Street even existed. It is a master blueprint for holding on to the restless goddess of wealth. Foundational reverence for this diverse wealth ecosystem dates all the way back to the Sri Suktam, a sacred hymn composed around 1000 BCE. It mapped the true, complex nature of abundance. But the specific eightfold grouping we know today was heavily popularized in modern times,
following the 1976 consecration of the magnificent Ashta Lakshmi temple on the shores of Chennai. This framework deconstructs the Ashta Lakshmi significance into 8 distinct pillars. It proves, mathematically and spiritually, that financial capital cannot survive without the psychological and social capital required to anchor it. The first pillar is Dana Lakshmi. This governs your material wealth, your liquid assets, your gold, and your currency. This is the 12.5% that modern society obsesses over.
But Tana cannot sustain life without the second pillar, Tanya Lakshmi. This represents agricultural wealth, profound physical health, and absolute food security for you and your family.
Without a strong, vibrant body to actually enjoy the gold is entirely worthless. Health is not a poetic metaphor for wealth. It is a literal, foundational asset class.
To build lasting influence, you need the third pillar, Gaja Lakshmi, the wealth of power, mobility, and immense social capital. It is the raw ability to shape the world around you.
And to ensure your empire outlives your fragile mortal frame, you require Santana Lakshmi, the wealth of progeny, family, and a generational legacy that carries your name into the distant future.
These 4 pillars build the mighty external empire. But what happens when the global markets crash, when ruthless competitors circle, and the entire world turns against you?
This introduces the most surprising and crucial asset class for modern investors, the 5th pillar, Daidya Lakshmi, also known in Vedic finance as Vidya Lakshmi.
This is the wealth of absolute, unshakable courage. It is the psychological fortitude of the adventurer, the pioneer, and the visionary who refuses to back down.
In Vedic finance, courage isn't just a fleeting emotion. It is a literal, quantifiable asset required to take calculated risks and endure devastating, soul-crushing market volatility.
Without Dairya, the very first sign of economic trouble will cause you to panic, liquidate everything at the bottom, and destroy your own empire out of pure, unadulterated fear.
But when the immense wealth of courage is applied, it inevitably yields the 6th pillar, Vijaya Lakshmi, the glorious wealth of victory and triumph over seemingly impossible obstacles.
Yet victory is hollow and fleeting without the ultimate compounding asset, the 7th pillar, Vidya Lakshmi, the wealth of profound knowledge, deep wisdom, and irreplaceable high-value skills.
Intellectual capital is the one true asset that can never be stolen. They can strip you of your gold and seize your lands, but they can never tax your mind. Finally, anchoring this entire magnificent ecosystem is Adi Lakshmi, primeval wealth, the deep spiritual grounding and ancient wisdom for success that serves as the bedrock for all human endeavor.
Ancient philosophy issues a stark, terrifying warning. If you chase money while neglecting courage, or hoard gold while ignoring knowledge, your entire wealth ecosystem will inevitably collapse.
You simply cannot cheat the math of the universe. The 8 pillars must stand together in perfect harmony, or they will all fall apart, leaving you with nothing.
But even if you manage to build all 8 pillars of permanent prosperity, there is still a hidden, fatal danger lurking in the shadows of success.
Because in the blink of an eye, the fickle goddess can decide to pack up her infinite riches and leave your home forever.
In Vedic psychology, wealth is never truly owned by anyone. It is only hosted. You are merely a temporary custodian of its immense, world-altering power.
And Hindu scriptures reveal a terrifying truth. The departure of wealth is never random. It is always triggered by a specific, highly toxic behavioral shift in the host.
The most dramatic example of this is found in goddess Lakshmi stories recorded in the ancient Vishnu Purana, detailing the catastrophic, humiliating fall of Indra, the mighty king of the Devas.
Indra possessed unimaginable riches and cosmic power. He ruled from high above, riding a magnificent, multi-headed celestial elephant, believing his golden empire was completely untouchable.
One day, the revered sage Dravasa approached the arrogant king, offering him a sacred, glowing garland of flowers as a profound symbol of divine grace and blessing.
But Indra, completely blinded by the absolute pride of his wealth, arrogantly placed the garland on his elephant, which carelessly threw the sacred offering into the dirt.
Witnessing this profound, unforgivable disrespect, the sage was furious. He cursed Indra for his arrogance, and in that exact millisecond, Lakshmi vanished from his realm.
Without the protective, stabilizing energy of prosperity, Indra's magnificent empire was immediately overrun by hostile Asuras in a brutal, cosmic hostile takeover. He lost absolutely everything.
Similarly, in the great epic of the Mahabharata, Lakshmi explains precisely why she is abandoning the once great king Mahabali, leaving him to absolute ruin.
She explicitly states that she is leaving because the king had become intoxicated with absolute power, abandoning truth, humility, and his fundamental sacred dharma.
The historical lesson is absolute and unforgiving. Where human ego rises, prosperity cannot breathe. But when wealth leaves a home, what exactly takes its place?
This macro-level psychology of wealth, of fallen kings and lost empires, applies directly to your living room today. The strict rules of hosting wealth haven't changed in 3 millennia.
According to the ancient Padma Purana, the radiant goddess of wealth has an older, much darker sister, a terrifying shadow that follows her everywhere she goes.
Her name is Lakshmi. She is the dreaded goddess of poverty, bitter strife, and inescapable, soul-crushing financial ruin. The two sisters are eternally bound by unbreakable cosmic law, yet they can never occupy the exact same space. One must always give way to the other.
Scriptural lore dictates that Lakshmi will immediately abandon any household characterized by physical clutter, persistent laziness, or a dark, heavy, stagnant atmosphere. And she flees instantly from any home where women, elders, or the vulnerable are treated with disrespect or cruelty. The fickle goddess demands absolute harmony.
The exact moment Lakshmi walks out your front door in disgust, her dark sister Alakshmi steps across the threshold to take her place.